This is Baxter Colburn, host of Verse of the Day. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
This is Julianne Condia, host of Rewritten, here on Public House Media. Thank you so much for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you are done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Rewritten, where we will talk about you having limitless potential and can rewrite your story at any time. No matter your background, your past, or current situation, you can have the type of life you crave. A new show comes out every single Monday. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Rewritten. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Hello everyone, it is No Filter Friday on Public House Media. And where I live is straight up pandemonium this evening. I live like in this terrible, I live painfully close to the Hollywood Bowl. And for whatever reason, it's like absolute craziness tonight. And the LA Police Department like doesn't give us a police line, like we have to rely on our own security. And there's all these people like weaseling their way in, and it's become an absolute freaking ordeal out there. And it knocked out our, we have like a cell booster tower because we're on the hills. We don't get no service over here. So we make our own basically. So it knocked that out. Oh, pandemonium, like straight up pandemonium. So I'm going to take a second and share the post before we get into this, and see if, share on a page manage. I'm going to see, all right, let's see if it'll work or not. Okay, trying it out. Like, it's such pandemonium, I had to break out the basic cup. That's the level of crazy that we're operating at right now. Anyway, so, now that we're like kind of getting past it, they sent the police to like clear out these people that have made it over here, because the nights where the Hollywood Bowl is going and the Ford Amphitheater is going, it's like, forget it. It's absolutely forget it. I thought it was sounding like a little rowdy around here, and then our HOA Facebook group was like, what is going on? Why are all these people here? And I was like, what people? And then I went outside with my animals. And I was like, oh, these people. Hello, Aussie. Thanks for coming in. So it's crazy, basically. And now I need an entire thing of tea because I can't deal, essentially. It's basically how this is going. So yeah, everybody's arguing. Everybody's feeling like they're, nudes, get out of the printer. Like they're allowed to be around here when they're not. You cannot just park at people's houses because you want to go to the Hollywood Bowl or you want to go to the Ford Amphitheater. Take an Uber. It's there for a reason. So the big Me Too news of the week is that like 10 hours ago, this story came out because Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook did an interview with Gayle King, Oprah's BFF, about how Lean In did a survey, because that's what they do. They do surveys. Lean In did a survey about, how life is in the era of, the era of hashtag Me Too, like work-wise. And although this doesn't say anything specific about, like Hollywood, because when I read it, because the title of the article is hashtag Me Too Backlash, more male managers avoid mentoring women or meeting alone with them. And I'm thinking that this is a program over at like Brillstein or something. That's the That's from the Washington Post. That's the article. And I took it to mean like management places, but apparently this survey was released on Friday. Was, you know, for just people who were like their like Lean-In's like sample base. And it's not just, it doesn't mean like entertainment managers. It means like people that are managers at companies, like I don't know, but like a regular manager, like out in the world, how you would normally think of that, not like a personal manager or business manager, or, you know, entertainment wise. So not Burlstein Gray is the takeaway from that. But it says that Leanin.org, the women's self-empowerment organization founded by Facebook Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg. And to be fair, Facebook does know a fair bit about collecting data. The survey found that 60% of male managers say they are uncomfortable doing common workplace activities with women, such as mentoring, socializing, or having one-on-one meetings, sharply up from 46% last year. Meanwhile, senior-level male managers were 9 times more likely to say they hesitated to take work trips with junior women than they were with junior men, a gap that grew just 5 times last year. The rise was startling enough that Sandberg herself is speaking on it, offering brief interviews about the findings at a time when headlines involving her name are far more likely to focus on her handling of the social media company's massive privacy scandal. But that is fair. That's fair. And Gayle King did ask her questions about that, but I feel like that kind of goes hand in hand. That might be a good thing with this type of survey, because like Facebook's out here collecting data. They're a data firm. That's what they do, basically. I mean, besides, you know, give us this kind of forum. So that's fair, but I think in this case it kind of works out. Involving her name are far more likely to focus on the handling of the social media company's massive privacy scandals or its response to Russian influence operations than her perch as the mid-2010s maven of workplace feminism. When Lean-In has been in the news as of late, it's faced more questions about its role in a post-#MeToo world of movement that showcased how powerless women's individual efforts to get ahead can be against institutional barriers, or even how much the organization remains identified with Sandberg's following a series of bruising headlines. Okay, so this is just her answering about questions about Facebook. But if you go look at the like her sitting there talking to Gayle King and, you know, everybody else at this table, they were talking about how if you can't get a one-on-one meeting, you can't get a promotion, which I think is true for the most part. But like at the same time though, like nobody should really be concerned about, like, nobody should feel like bad about having meetings or lunches or like any sort of work function. They shouldn't be feeling, you know, claustrophobic about that. And that's not a good thing. That doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help any party in this situation. Oh, hello, Aaron. Thanks for coming in. So that's something that definitely needs to get remedied. How they're going to do it, they didn't really get around to that part of the survey. But I guess now that because this piece of data is like really, really fresh, like they just put these findings out today. So I guess it's an open discussion of like how people are going to feel like comfortable on all sides of the table, at all seats of the table, being there and feeling like, you know, their workplace is advancing and getting better, not only getting better in business, but getting better, you know, in their relationships within those working coworkers, you know, coworkers are bosses and employees, and, you know, all of that whole chain needs to have like a come to Jesus moment, you know. They got to figure this out. But it's so strange that I've never felt like, I probably shouldn't have like a one-on-one with that person because, ooh, it's like a touchy time or whatever, and like I need to be careful. Like, I feel like it should be like on an individual basis. Like, do you think that person's a psychopath or not? Because that's basically how we judge each other in Hollywood. Like, how psychotic is this person? And if they're not psychotic, great, moving forward. And if they are psychotic, like, okay, well, how much money do they make from being psychotic? Can I put them through this algorithm? Are they gonna? If it makes dollars, it makes sense. Like, basically, that's the litmus test around here. It's like kind of like a flow chart, like psychopath, not psychopath, and then you just move your way down like a pinko board. So that's kind of concerning to me. Like, I've never had like a real job like out there in the world. I'm not really sure how those types of people do things, but I can't say that I've ever in the non-entertainment spaces that I've worked in that I've ever felt weird or cautious about doing anything. Aussie Guevara says that's exactly how it works. It's true. We have a psychopath litmus test. Are you a psychopath or are you not? If yes, then how much money do you make with those psychopathic skills? If it's zero, then no, buzz off. But if you do make money and we can plug it into this algorithm right here, and it can open a movie or get a TV show on a network, we will mitigate said psychopathy. It'll be okay. Oh, Brittany's here. Hello, other cousin. I don't know, but that's kind of wild to me that like Hollywood's got the problems being dirty and disgusting. You know, we have our litmus tests, but you know, we talk. You know, hoes especially talk. We're like, oh, that kind of, you know, you'll be fine. But I don't know about it like, going the other way though. Like, that's kind of an interesting situation to me. But out in the world and like companies that like, you know, matter, that actually do functions for our society that, you know, are required. Like, this nonsense entertainment stuff is not required. Like, we don't have to do this. This is for funsies. But these other industries like medicine and tech and transportation and all these, you know, wonderful things, like, those are required. We do need those to function. So we got to get it together and figure out what the next step is to like make people comfortable first, A, and B, effective. Because if it's not effective, then none of it matters. Like, you can go to sensitivity training and this, that, and the other thing until you're blue in the face. But if it's not effective, it's not getting the job done, if it's not advancing business or people's lives that work in that business, then there's no point in doing it. This is silly. So let's go back to what Cheryl said. Because she did have a couple points, but nothing concrete in my opinion. So apparently this survey was included a national sample of more than 5,000 U.S. adults. It was co-released by SurveyMonkey, the software company where Sandberg serves on the board, and her deceased husband, former CEO. She said she's spoken to many male executives who say they have been told by their human resources department or by senior leadership, don't put yourself in that position, don't be alone with a woman, that so many senior level men are reporting that they are uncomfortable taking work trips, having work dinner, taking one-on-one meetings with the junior female colleagues is particularly bad sign. Well, then this shouldn't be coming from HR, like saying, oh, hey, don't do this. Like, that's not a solution. Like, okay, I understand how you're feeling. I get it. We're living in the era of #MeToo. If you want to make sure that everybody's, you know, completely bubble wrapped and totally, you know, insulated and sterile, then this is how we do it. Their HR department should be giving them tools for this, not just shutting it down completely. She says, I really think we are facing a very serious crisis for women in getting promoted. That's true. The problem with this knee-jerk fear, of course, is that to get promoted, younger employees need this kind of informal FaceTime and one-on-one interactions that build trust and develop relationships, giving senior level managers the confidence to take a risk on promoting them. When senior executives, who are often disproportionately male, back away from those relationships, it can make it harder for women to get promoted. one criticism of Sandberg's 2013 book, after which the organization is named, has been that it offered too much individual advice that women, particularly professional white-collar women, had to follow on their own, putting the onus of change on them rather than the underlying systems of biases of corporations or society itself. Okay, well, we all have to work together on this. It's not just a one-sided thing. Again, this hurdle has to be jumped from every single person at the table, not just like one end or the other end or like some chair off in the corner. Like, everybody has to get over this together and figure out what the code of conduct and decorum is going to be so that everything's kosher and nobody's gonna catch a lawsuit in either direction. Like, nobody feels the need to file one and nobody gets caught on the other side of one. Like, that is the hope here, is that everybody's just cool with each other and they act right. But you know what? For as much flack as millennials catch, I really think that this is a good opportunity for millennials to really get their hooks in here, because I think that is the ones that do work anyway. That's one area that they excel in is being thoughtful of everybody around them, like to a fault mostly. But I think that's one area where millennials can really take the charge on this one, and like bridging that gap between the more senior set, within these companies and, the more junior employees, like bridging that gap and just making it express on how they're going to do that, what the rules are, how everyone's going to follow them, and then what to do if said rules are broken. Because having a protocol is very, very, very helpful in these kinds of situations. And I think, we have more people coming in. Oh, my lover is here. Chaz. Hello, Chaz. And David Bobke. Thank God for David Bobke, y'all. Oh, this man puts up with me like you wouldn't believe. Anyway, but I do think that is one area where millennials that are also, very hyper aware of being thoughtful about, what everybody else is doing and how they're going about their days and how, they could possibly take, these set of interactions or whatever. But the fact that like HR is telling these people to like, just don't take meetings. You can't be alone with this person, or not even like this person. Like, it's not even an individual thing. It is a completely broad brush being swept across both parties of like, you're a man. You can't do this. Don't be doing that. Like, what? No, this shouldn't be this difficult. But if it is going to be this difficult, then we got to find a way around it as a unit. Like, everybody has to be conscious of each other and figure out what you want to do. And there's nothing wrong with it. And I think I've said this on the show a million times, but I think that's one of the few places that Hollywood is a great place to work, is that these relationships that we have with each other are not only iconic, but you don't really get to have them in any other kind of industry. And like, I think it would be cool if other people got to experience the kind of working relationships that we have in entertainment. Like, people like, for example, when Audrey Hepburn's makeup artist died, she said that she didn't want to work anymore. And like, I get it. I totally understand that. The people that have been making movies together for a long time, the people that have been making music together for a long time, or making TV shows together for a long time, like really, really gorgeous relationships like that you don't just get in any other industry. Like, I wish that could be replicated in other businesses, because I think that's like one of the best parts of the entertainment industry, is that we get to like love each other. And we kind of have to, because we spend so much time to, like, if you're shooting something, you're spending 12 to 18 hours a day with these people for weeks or months or years. Like, if you're on a TV show, years with these people. So, or if you're on like a big franchise or something. But that's a long time. That's a long time. Like, Adam McKay and Will Ferrell just announced that they were parting ways like a month ago. And I get it. They're both doing movies without each other. So like, dissolving Gary Sanchez like kind of makes sense, but it's still sad because it's Adam McKay and Will Ferrell. That's like an iconic duo, and they do love each other. Like, they really do. And their kids love each other. Like, they're a very tightly wound bunch. And that's a gorgeous thing that I don't think you really get in other industries that is, that's unique to entertainment. But I wish other people had that. I wish people's HR departments weren't telling them that, oh, no, just stay separate. Don't look at each other. Don't talk to each other. Like, that's like old school in a bad way of like, oh no, men and women can't work with each other. Yes, we can. We do it every day. Been doing it every day for some time now. Like, it's a proven false dichotomy. It's not real. It can be done. I've worked, like, especially if you work in like a male dominated industry, like I like guy stuff, like fishing and scuba diving and all that stuff. Like, I like, guys stuff, drag racing, all that jazz. I really dig that stuff. When I go on the boat, is there other ladies? More often than not, no. Guy was in Pilates today, and I was like, oh yeah, I use quiz jazz. Very true. 12 to 18. It's true. Minimum 12, top out at 18. Union rules. I was in Pilates today, and we were talking about socks, and I'm like, oh yeah, like these socks are like I've completely worn them out because I wear them fishing inside rubber boots because that way I don't slide around. And they're like, you what? Why? Like, they're like not having it at all. I'm like, well, that's part of the situation. Like, my Pilates socks may or may not have blood stains on them. And it's certainly not from working reformer in Bel Air. I can tell you that much right now. But like, everybody can get along, but you just have to try. Just be cool, kids. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to get along and not harass anybody or be harassed. I think at the bottom line, it comes down to like using your voice and figuring out what your work environment's like. But that's a bad move on HR's part to be like, oh, just don't do it. No, that's, first of all, it's ineffective, and second of all, that's stupid. Like honestly, like if you're an employee of said company and like you can't be trusted to have a one-on-one meeting with someone, you shouldn't be working there. Like that sounds disastrous. Like if you couldn't take a one-on-one meeting with a new client or a vendor or like, because to me, like, if you can't be trusted to take a meeting with someone that you work with every single day that doesn't really affect, like, the bottom line of your company, then how on earth are you, like, gonna be trusted to take a meeting with people that, like, I don't know, supply you with revenue? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's complete, like, how on earth would that work? Like, maybe for the short term, for, like, okay, for the next 3 months, like, a company that's had some real problems. Like, okay, for the next 3 months, no one-on-one meetings. Don't look at each other. Don't smell each other. Don't talk to each other. Nothing. Like when you're fighting with your siblings when you're a kid, and your parents are like, separate! Like that. Okay. As a emergency temporary order, okay, fine. But for the long term, that sounds like a really good way to sink your business and to just decimate your bottom line. Because if you have employees that can't be trusted to have one-on-one meetings or lunches or dinners or trips or any of these things that expand your business, or they're supposed to, you have a major, major, major problem with the people that work at this company. So I highly suggest like all these folks get this together and figure out like how they're going to work on this. It says don't smell each other. Sometimes that's what you have to like. Don't separate. Go in your corners. Don't look at each other, and that's fine. Whatever. As a temporary thing, because you're having a hard time, okay. But as a general rule that they're just putting into policy, no. And if it's that big of a deal, then have duet mentoring, or have like teams of mentors, or a group lunch with blah 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 blah. Like if nurses and doctors can figure it out and TSA can figure it out, the rest of us can figure it out too. We're all people. It cannot be that difficult. This doesn't pass a smell test. I don't believe it. I think we can all get this together. But anyway, that is the conclusion of this week's No Filter Friday. I will say that it's Cannes right now, so I'm sure we're going to hear some interesting stories because it's the opening weekend of Cannes. So next week should be filled with Cannes stuff. And then tomorrow I'm volunteering for a Boys and Girls Club of Venice with Pravana Hair Care. They make hair dye mostly. So I'm doing makeup for some kids that are going to prom tomorrow, and I got so lucky. I pulled out all of my makeup stuff that I use for sets, and Tempatu is sending more things, which I can't wait to see for tomorrow. Cinema Secrets totally hooked me up. Best brush cleaner in the world. They gave me a bunch of highlight and contour and more foundation. And Cherie Cosmetics is hooking me up with, or not even just me, but these kids that are from the Boys and Girls Club of Venice, and they're going to their pre-prom event. She's sending over lip glosses and eyeshadow palettes and like all this amazing stuff. So thank God for all of these people. Yes, I like No Filter Friday. Good. And yeah, oh, that's great. You're helping. Yes, I'm helping the kids. Well, I kind of only do makeup out of necessity, like just when I'm producing something and it's just either it has to be a skeleton crew. We can't have like more crew members to handle hair and makeup, or, budget constraint or whatever, because I have awesome people like Temptu that will send airbrush machines and like, look at all these colors. This is crazy. All these colors of like paints and stuff like that. One year, I forget who it was. I think it was Cinema Secrets. They gave a bunch of like silicone like cuts and scars and like all that stuff, and I got to paint it for people for Halloween, which was so much fun. Airbrush painting makeup is like so fun. And so I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky in that way that I'm able to do it. And I have all these companies that will like help out. Cause I was kind of thinking about it. And I'm like, I've got to work on some pretty serious faces over the years, like just by default. Like, we were making all of our spots for Purina. We had Richard Ryle from Office Space and, Juice Bigelow. He would always come and he would play like the president of Beggin' Strips, and I got to like comb his mustache, and it's like so iconic, and like deal with his eyebrows and like mattify the shine on his face. Oh, so much fun. If you haven't combed Richard Ryle's mustache, you have not lived. It's so much fun. Brittany says, I love prawn time. And Rachel being so nice. Don't tell people I'm nice, Brittany. I have an image to uphold. I worked very, very hard to be this mean. Like a 5-year mean plan. And me, Enriquez. Hello, me, Enriquez. Thanks for coming by. So yeah, that's what I'm doing this weekend. And then on Sunday, last Sunday, I was on the Female Filmmaker Fuse show on LA Talk Radio with Alexa Polar and Robin Pabella, who are so awesome. And we talked about this show. We talked about No Filter Friday and Me Too and like just all kinds of war story stuff. Like whenever I go on that show, we get so squirreled off topic. It's ridiculous. But it's so much fun. And then subsequently the day after that, where is he? Get Richard now. I want to comb his mustache. He's probably off working on something else. He works all the time. Nicest mean person I know. Stop telling people I'm nice. An image to uphold here. I'm working on my brand. I've worked very hard on it. Anyway, I don't know where. I'm sure he's off working on something because he's always working. Oh, stop it. think sometimes you're nice. You take it back. I can be nice when I want to be. That's true. I'll take that. That's a fair assessment. I mean, I'm capable. I just choose not to be nice. Anyway. So then the day after, so Monday, so I did Female Filmmaker Fuse on LA Talk Radio on Sunday. And then on Monday, this episode of another podcast called Meraki Mentors, which is all like ladies in the industry, basically. That episode came out, and I recorded that so long ago, so it was kind of crazy that it like came out like back to back. But because of that, I got in. I talked to some other people about doing their podcasts, which are like big entertainment industry podcasts. So when I go do those, I'll let you know. And then I got invited to speak at I don't know, some panel that some lady's having. I don't know, I forget the name of it, but it's all the same stuff, basically. So if you want to hear more of this crazy, more of this mean crazy, and just industry stuff in general, go over to the Meraki Mentors podcast, because that's really she's really killing it with that. It's a really interesting thing. It's on my Instagram. I have two Instagrams actually, but my business Instagram is just my name. It's at Rachel Ann Mullins. Go over to that and check out, because there's like links and stuff like that in there. For that, go check that out, because I thought it was I did it a while ago, so there's been things that I've worked on since, but I thought it was really, really, her podcast is interesting because I don't think she lives here. She lives somewhere else. And she's got all these ladies in the industry together to talk about like our beginnings, middles, and ends, basically, of like how this ridiculousness came to be. And I think I ended up talking about how No Filter Friday came to be too. I think. It was a long time ago that I did this. So go check that out if that's your jam. Or if that's not your jam, go check out more other cool shows that are far more uplifting and not as disgusting as this show. Like Choose to Rise and Disarming Disability. And what else? See Jane Sell. All these other fun shows on the Public House Media Network. And there's more now too. Like I think we're getting more sportsy shows that I know nothing about. Like, I just see them pop up on the Slack, and I'm like, oh, what? It's a soccer show? Is that for children? I don't know. I know nothing about them. So go check out other shows on Public House Media if entertainment stuff is not your jam. And I will see you all next week for another No Filter Friday that will probably be about Cannes, because I think it opened on Wednesday. They partied yesterday, partied today, and then this weekend is where it's going to get... it's going to get down and dirty, because the first weekend of a festival is like the woo crazy, and Cannes is the craziest, and that's why it's my favorite. Cannes like my favorite place in the world. It's like all my favorite things combined. It's work and ridiculous fashion and yachts. God knows I love yachts. Like when you put all those things together, it's Rachel's happy place. It's like my go-to happy place, Chateau Marmont. My happiest of happy places, Cannes during the festival. So I will see you all next week. Lord knows what's going to happen between now and then, but whatever, it'll be fine. It'll be fun. See you later. Bye.